All right, everyone, get your tinfoil hats on because we're talking about UFOs. So UFOs in the past have been this weird sort of thing that only crazy schizophrenic people talk about as, actually existing. But in the past, I'd say 5 years now, that has kind of shifted. There have been actual accounts by legitimate government officials of what are basically UFOs, so unidentified flying objects. For example, there was the Navy pilot a few years ago that talked about his experience with discovering the now infamous Tic Tac UFO back in 2004. And there's footage of this. Basically, it was some sort of flying object that moved around in ways that defied the laws of physics. And in fact, that is something that is very consistent with these official stories we've been hearing, is that these flying objects move in ways that defy the laws of physics as we know it. And that there is no known technology in the US or China or Russia that can come close to producing an object that can move like this. Basically, these flying objects can move up, down, left, right, etc. without having to have an acceleration or deceleration period. I remember one guy described it as saying, think about you using a laser pointer, how you can just freely move it around. You can move around where the laser goes, and there's no start or stop that is necessary. You just move it around. There's no struggle against gravity. There's no struggle against force. You're not fighting any real physical properties. That is how these objects move. And so naturally, since the US government has stated that no known nation or intelligence group has this kind of technology, people have assumed that this can be described by one word: aliens. And I have to agree with this. I think that as time has gone on, I definitely believe more and more that the possibility that we are the only people in the universe that exist is almost unrealistic and maybe even ignorant to say. But okay, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, so why am I talking about this now? Well, believe it or not, there is a section of the US Department of Defense that was created in July of last year, so it's not even a year old, and it's called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, which I don't know if this is actually how you pronounce it, but I call it AARO. So 4 days ago, AARO made its first public press conference through NASA TV. So I guess they have like an ongoing partnership with NASA, and NASA generally assists them because obviously they're both departments of the US. And so anyway, during this 4-hour public conference on Wednesday, which was streamed live, AARO talked about these flying metallic orbs that have been discovered around the world recently. And long story short, they move in unexplainable ways, just like the objects I discussed earlier in the video, and they are saying, again, that it would seem that they are a result of technology that is not known to the US as well as China or Russia. Now, some people are saying that maybe they are covering this up, maybe the US or China or Russia, they really do have this technology, but to me, I would say that that is completely unrealistic. If any one of these nations, these superpowers, if they possessed this technology, they would have a gigantic technological advantage over the other nations. And let's just face it, things would be happening. Like, I'm an American at the end of the day, okay? I'm all red, white, and blue, okay? Don't get me wrong, I love this country. But if the US had this sort of technology, okay, let's just say I don't think there would be a Russia or a China or really any other nation that opposes us. And obviously, I'm happy that it would seem that no nation does have this sort of crazy power, because that would cause a huge imbalance in the world, and it could have awful consequences. But again, I am getting ahead of myself. So there was a now famous screenshot that they shared during this AARO conference that was taken from a US aircraft in the Middle East just last year, which showed one of these metallic-looking flying orbs. And AARO says that this is just a small example, so they say that these objects, which are about the size of a small car, have been flying around all over the world. Now that is a powerful statement, all over the world. Like, while we're all busy with our day-to-day lives with pointless BS, focusing on, work called me in again, or, did you hear who got a divorce, or, hey, did you hear what famous celebrity got an OnlyFans? Like, there are these objects that are literally flying all over the world above us that absolutely no one has an explanation for. That's crazy, but nevertheless, here is my take on all of this. I think, from what it seems like anyway, these objects, these flying objects that cannot be explained, they have more or less always existed. Like, there are credible sightings, actually, of UFOs that go back to, like, World War II. So basically, these objects have been flying around the world over our heads ever since you and I have been alive, and probably longer than that. So before people start going into panic mode, my take is, hey, we never worried about them before, before we didn't know about them, and so now that we have learned about them, why be so anxious about it? I mean, I definitely believe that these unidentified objects are controlled in some way by extraterrestrial beings that are not from this planet. I'm sorry if that makes me sound like a wacko to some of you, but I do. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, obviously. I can't 100% say that that's what's going on, but I think it's more likely than to say that that's not the case. And so to me, it's actually kind of comforting, ironically, knowing that these objects are showing that these aliens, or whatever you want to call them, they have crazy technology that is far beyond anything we know. And because of this, it's ironically comforting to know that, hey, if they wanted to wipe us all out with a laser or something, then I feel like they would have already done that by now. Which means that I don't think that whoever these beings are that are controlling these things, I don't think they want to hurt us. In other words, I think we should be curiously interested in this phenomenon, but not worried. It's not worth wasting anxiety on. I truly think that this is not the last time I will be talking about something like this. I mean, the U.S. literally created an office to study UFOs not even a year ago. Whether or not you think I am a crazy psychopath after watching this video, I think that as more and more discoveries of the unexplainable are revealed, it is becoming more and more likely that we are not alone.